Welcome to the NRL Speed Masterclass. My name is Brandan Jones, and today we're going to be focusing for episode 1 on acceleration, one that many rugby league and rugby union players want to improve on. So today, without further ado, I'm going to show you exactly what drills that I use, how I coach acceleration, how I cue it, and how you can implement that as a part of your training. This is a free masterclass on YouTube, and you will find that I'll be putting out episodes each month on all different parts of the game, from agility through to attacking footwork, all the way through to top speed, and including your strength and conditioning as well for your gym, as well as your fitness coming into off season. So tune in, subscribe, and I hope you love it. The first drill I'm going to take you through today is all about your setup and getting that correctly. So what I commonly see is with a lot of players, when they set up on the defensive line, or if they set up in attack, they're in a very balanced position where they're like this, really tall, or when they are down, they're in a position where their shin is really vertical and their weight is positioned on their back leg ready to go. The problem with that is that when you take off, if your shin angle is really vertical here, what's going to start to happen is when you take off, you're going to push off your back leg and you're going to go forward rather than pushing off your front leg and going forward. The next problem that creates is that you're taking not only a false step, but secondly, you're also at a poor body angle when you're taking off. So your acceleration is never going to be explosive. You're going to still be behind the punch of the play. So we need to fix that. And the way we're going to fix that is from my setup drill that I use. So whether you're on the defensive line, I want 90% of your weight on your front leg and 10% of the weight on your back leg. And you'll notice here that my chest is right over my front toe, right? Even a little bit further over. My head is looking forward. I'm looking at the play, what's about to happen and go on. And I could even take this foot off and I still have good balance and coordination to hold that position, okay? That's the first and foremost point. The second part of this is your actual push and takeoff. So you've got your weight, you've got your balance, but I need to make sure that when you take off, you don't just come up and then you're standing up like this, seeing what's going on. We still need to accelerate and drive. So I need you to imagine like your head and your hips have to stay at the same height when you take off. And even if I look forward, I need to think about going forwards first in that position rather than lifting my chest straight up. And I want you to imagine in this position, you have a plank of wood that is above your head right now. And that plank of wood, if you lift your head up, you're going to smack your head, okay, into the plank of wood. Or just think your coach has got a cricket bat, and if you lift your head up, he's going to hit you in the head. You need something to force you to keep your head looking forward and down and level rather than lifting straight up, okay? You can still see the play in the defensive line. Even if I face forward, you can still see the play in defensive line in this position. It's not like you can't. You're looking at the play, you understand the play, the ball's over that side. I've got my left foot up, making sure it's in the right position, but I can still see the play, okay? So no matter if I switch legs, that's my position, and I'm in the right position there where I can take this back leg off, and then I can take off, okay? That's first and foremost. Now, we talked about the takeoff. As soon as we take off, we need to make sure our head and our hips stay at the same position. We cannot see it lift, and you need to push maximally 110% of your weight out of this front leg. Now, for some of you that aren't strong enough yet and haven't hit the gym or haven't done specific work to build speed and explosive acceleration, I want you to just take this one thing away, okay? A double leg back squat. I do a double leg back squat. It looks great. It builds generalized strength. It's a good starting point. However, have you noticed this? When you run, you're running on one leg at a time. You never have two legs on the ground when you're sprinting and when you're accelerating. So we need to train in the gym single leg. It is the biggest mistake I see high performance coaches and strength and conditioning coaches make in the NRL landscape is they train everything double leg for convenience, when if you're trying to make your athletes better and more explosive, even just more injury resilient, you run on one leg at a time, you step on one leg at a time, yet we still train double leg. Like, come on, guys. You got to get with the times. I would think it's just a lack of, it's a lack of understanding, but also at the same time, it also comes down to programming. And this is where you find the high quality coaches understand that single leg exercise is going to transfer way better to speed, whether it's strength related or plyometric related exercises. Double leg is just a beginner. It's a beginner starting point. So if you're getting in the gym for the first time, learn how to do single leg exercise, whether it's body weight or as simple as it is, do your two-legged dumbbell or kettlebell squats just to start getting used to the movement and learning the movement. But for the highly experienced athletes, and this is one of the biggest problems, is that the NRL players that come to me, I have to change their gym program out of season to get them even faster than what they were during that period by doing more single leg orientated stuff. And the feedback that I have from these players is outstanding. They're moving better, they're sharper, they're jumping higher, they're running faster. And so what I tell them, and this is really, really important, is like you've got to supplement some of these exercises into your current regime. But if you're an NRL high performance coach and you run an NRL club at the moment, or you're an S&C coach, change your programming from double leg to single leg and you will see extraordinary results with not only injury prevention, but you'll see extraordinary results with speed. So that's just something that I want to explain in this masterclass. And this is on YouTube. As I said, this isn't something that's a quick fire piece of content. This is as thorough and in-depth as the information you're going to get. And if you need help with programming, send me a message and I'll gladly help you out with that from an NRL component. Okay, second drill is going to be my 3-cone start. I've come further away so you can see the exact setup of what we're doing here. Now, I made this 3-point start over many years of learning from some of the best speed coaches in the world. And it comes down to set distances that are specific towards your height and also the size of your foot. And it works really effectively well on executing the first 3 steps. I use this as a teaching tool to make sure that we can get your starts technically better. How you're going to set this up is from the first cone, you're going to take 2 of your steps, place a cone, 3 of your steps on the next one, place a cone, and then 4 of your steps on the next one. And that is where you're going to have your custom sizing for your height and your foot size for the first 3 steps. Now, what we're trying to do and execute with this three-cone start is making sure that in my takeoff position, I'm lined up right next to it. And when I'm taking off, and I'll show footage of this in a B-roll so you can start to see, but it's just breaking down in slow motion, is that when I take off, I need to make sure that when my head and my hips are coming out at the same height, I need to attack down and back to the ground in this position, down and back to the ground, and I'm landing in line with where this first cone is. So when I'm attacking down and back to the ground, I'm landing in line with where this first cone is. That means you're in the right foot placement. And our feet have to land underneath our hips. That means that we are in stride, and what happens is that when you push off the ground, you attack it hard, you push, you're going to be off to the next step straight away. There's going to be no delay. And it's important in acceleration that there is no delay, because you want to get your leg speed going and you want to get out nice and quick and explosive. We don't need a delay at the beginning. And the hardest thing to learn, and not only to teach, is explosive acceleration, because you're coming from 0 speed and trying to get to maximum speed in the quickest amount of time possible. So you need to accelerate. And the quickest accelerators are very strong, they're very powerful, but they also have great mechanics, and they're able to get off the ground as quickly as possible and get going. So we've got to our first step. We've hit the ground. Now we just need to repeat the same process, and you'll notice that if I hit the ground, I've got an extra foot there that I've got to reach. But as I hit the ground and I'm in that position, I'm pushing off, the next step's coming through and I'm attacking down and back again to the ground. Now my body angle has to stay at that lean forward position. And like I said, I'll show you this clips in B-roll so you can see in slow motion how it looks like as well as a visual aid. But the goal is to land in line with each of the set of cones. And each cone is a foot further than the last one of your feet, okay? This is the perfect drill to execute. Now, in terms of teaching this and for you to review your videos, it's really important that you set up a camera just like this, put it in slow motion, complete some starts for the 3-cone start, go back after you do the rep, watch the video in slow motion and freeze the frame as you get to this point of the first cone. What happens, if you see on film, if you're landing here, okay, which is in front of my base of hips, and I'll move forward here, is if you land here, which is where my foot is landing, okay, right, like where my hips are here, my foot is in front of my hip line, okay? That is what we call overstriding. Now, if I land in front of my hips here, and instead of going down and back, where I want you to understand that down and back are the mechanics of what we're trying to do. And to give you an even better visualization, a down and back means step behind. Try and step behind you. So when I'm going forward, I'm stepping behind, which will then lead me to then hitting in stride and in the right position. Now, if I land in front and I'm overstriding, what's going to happen is you have to transfer your weight onto your foot here, and then you're pushing off and getting off the ground. So first thing you have to do if you're landing in front is you've got to absorb all of the force that goes into the ground, which is not great from an injury standpoint, which majority of the NRL players that I coach and elite juniors, they overstride. So if they've got poor mechanics and they've never learned it before, they overstride, and we've got to fix that straight away. And that's one of the common denominators as to why they keep getting hammy injuries, but also at the same time, why they have other lower limb injuries as well. It's from the overstriding pattern. And it's repetitive, game after game. So we've overstride, we get to that point in time where we transfer our weight and then we've just pushed off the ground. That is slower to get off the mark and slower to get off the ground, which is going to cause you to have a slow acceleration. So we need to land in stride, down and back, underneath our hips, every single step. And to master that, I'm being honest with you now, without the expert coaching and an eyes on you right in person, it is going to take you a long time to master this by yourself. And I would say this is that you need video feedback, you need coaching. I have an online program here where I can give you the coaching, I can review your videos, I can make sure that you're actually doing things correctly. I promise you, you will not be able to achieve this doing it by yourself. I've tried, and many other athletes in high-level sport have tried, and you will not be able to achieve this on your own. So if you think you will, forget it. Don't even get started, okay? But you need the coaching, whether it's someone that understands biomechanics at this level, is there with you in person and you're paying for their time, which can be very expensive, or you have an online program, an online system, and I do for $49 a month, where you can join that program. That is a live program rolling every single week, but also you're getting the coaching from me. I'm going to look at your videos, I'm going to give you the feedback, I'm going to tell you the cues, what I want you to do, and that's exactly what this is all about, okay? Making sure you get the coaching that you need. Otherwise, you will not improve your acceleration. You'll just continue to overstride. You won't know what to look for regardless of all these videos that I put out, and you will not get any quicker. So as I said, let's stop wasting time and effort and make sure, and just put a little bit of investment into your own development, and let's fix it. That's why this, my program is one of the world leading programs in terms of speed for rugby league. And that's why we do what we do at this level, and we do it at a really good level, is because of the cueing, the coaching, the feedback that you get no matter where you are in the world. Okay, so you've set up this drill. You started to practice your 3-cone starts. Now there are some cue points that I want you to think about, and I'm going to show you here. We're obviously taking off and we're pushing off our front leg. We know we're getting to our first step. Now with our leg, and I'm going to show you from the side, when we take off, we need to think about our leg, making sure that we're coming up to get enough knee height here, so then we have enough time from our front foot to then come down and back to the ground. If you are not explosive, if you are not fast already, if you are not a seasoned, I would say, veteran at doing this, and you're even in athletics, or you've been in athletics where you have really good mechanics, people that teach you to try and keep a low leg lift and low heel recovery are inexperienced at what they do, okay? If you come down with a lower heel recovery in this position here and you are untrained, look at the knee height at the moment. So we're at probably half the height of where I can get to, but at the same time, look how close I am to the ground. So if you are new to this and you've never had any coaching and you are not experienced, you're not really strong and powerful from a speed perspective, not just from in the gym, and your leg's coming through it here, you have no time to get your foot here. Regardless of how good you think you are, you do not have the time. The reason why we see Olympic athletes such as Usain Bolt, CJ Ujah, even some of the guys like Noah Lyles have really good explosive starts. Keep in mind that this is a different sport. Athletics and 100 meters, they are so strong and so powerful for their power to body weight. Noah Lyles is 77 kilos, but he can lift 250 kilos on a box squat for 5 reps. That's incredible. Plus, he's very springy and powerful because he's built the single leg strength. So for him, he is rapid and quick enough to get his foot to here, forward as far as he can. But you'll notice his body angle is so far forward here that even though his foot is here, he's just below 45 degrees and he's able to get his foot down where his foot is really close to the ground as fast as possible. These are Olympic athletes that are seasonally trained. This is not you. So anyone that teaches you low heel recovery, keep your foot close to the ground, does not understand at all speed biomechanics, and they're just watching online and seeing tips from Olympic coaches that are teaching their athletes low heel recovery. For NRL players, we don't need this. I've never seen an NRL player that I've worked with being able to execute a low heel recovery at this height and keep a 45-degree body angle lean like this and come down and back. Because in rugby league, it's 10-meter distances, okay? You can't keep your head down like this and just keep driving and driving and driving. Otherwise, you're going to knock yourself out. You've got to look and get your head up and see the play. So again, when we're taking off and our trail leg, which is the back leg here, is coming through, I need you to think about when you're bringing your leg up, I need you to punch the knee. We're using the hip flexor here as high as you can, okay? As high as you can to get to a point where we're in this height here. Now, if I'm leaning forward and I'm driving, my head and my hips are there, that's what it's going to look like. I'm going to be right up at the peak of where I am. The reason being is if you can get your heel and your foot right in behind the knee here underneath at this height, when we come down to the ground, we've got more time to get our foot down to the ground in the right position. And then from there, we can attack down and step back behind us and land in stride with our hips. Biggest, most common mistake I see with players that come to me and that I have to fix is they do not get a high enough knee lift off the takeoff and with their acceleration phase. They skip what we call step number 1. So if I show you, step number 1 is lift the leg using the hip flexor. That's step number 1. Step number 2 is then when you're coming down to the ground, you need to keep your foot in behind the knee, but you're opening it just slightly. And then step number 3 is you're attacking down and back behind you. That's what a generalized leg lift would look like. But with many untrained, what happens is they skip step number 1 and they just go forward. So they come from here and they just go forward. They don't come up first. The first movement off the ground is always up, okay? No matter if you're in a lean that is this steep at 45 degrees or you're at 60 degrees, your leg has to still get to that height and come up, all right? As soon as you start doing this, you're going to start executing this 3-start better. So we know we've got step number 1, we got our knee up as high as we can to the peak, and we're going to have to train our hip flexors to get stronger. And then step number 2, we can then obviously come down and then come down and back to step number 3, which is down and behind us, and execute a really good first 3 steps. So the last drill that we're going to focus on in this NRL Speed Masterclass is how to use your arms correctly. And the arms play a crucial role in your acceleration, and they have 2 roles right now, your arms. Number 1, they generate leg speed. So when you're taking off and accelerating, you want leg speed. That's what we want. We want to generate leg speed as quickly as possibly as we can. So our arms do that. And our arms equate for 20% of our maximum speed. So if you're not even using your arms correctly or you've never learned how to use your arms correctly, this is how we're going to teach it. The second role that it teaches, that it produces, sorry, is when you're accelerating and you're going forward, if you get correct arm mechanics, it will actually pull you forward and have a larger stride length, which is what we want as we get faster and faster. So then you can actually open up and hit a new top speed. So we can accelerate quickly, but we can also transition to top speed and we can open up and hit a brand new top speed, which means when we're getting 40 meters down the field, we're getting quicker and quicker and we're pulling away from our opposition. And that can get you to the try line, or that can get you to save that try-saving tackle. So I'm going to show you now how to use your arms correctly. What I want you to do is feet are going to be together. Now your feet are going to be in this position, and I want you to get both hands. Now I like to use fists here in this angle, okay? I don't like to have open hand, and the only reason why I don't have open hand is because my hands rotate as I open my hand, as they come through the wind. And sometimes they can just get caught hitting your sides and hitting your pockets. So I like to go fist over the top of the knuckles like this, and I'm trying to keep my wrist in this position facing up towards the sky. That's the idea. So pacing straight up towards the sky is our position. Now, we're at 90 degrees here. I'm going to turn to the side after in a second. We're going to bring one all the way behind our pocket, and we're going to bring one all the way up to shoulder height. Now, if I turn to the side, I'll show you. So again, we're starting in this position here, 90 degrees. I'm then pushing this arm behind me, and you'll notice that I can't go any further. Like, this is it, okay? I've got all in this position there. I've got almost a 90-degree angle in this angle here. This front one's going to be in line. Again, we're still in that kind of 90-degree angle, if not a little bit more acute here, and we're at shoulder height. Now, if I wanted to switch my arms correctly, I need to make sure that when I'm switching my arms, I'm hitting my pockets on the way through here, really tight. Elbows stay into ribs. Hit your pockets on the way through, boom. And I'm switching my arms into that same angle and same position. Now, this front arm, we don't want it to be open where we're handshaking someone. We want it to be in a more acute angle, just inside 90 degrees, between 60 and 90 degrees. This is where we want to be. That's where we want to be. And then when we switch, we're going to use the back of the elbow now as we're coming down to then lead with the back of the elbow. We're not going to open the arm straight away and flick out like this that I see a lot of the athletes that I coach that they do. They open the arm. We don't need to open the arm. Just come down with the back of the elbow, and as you're coming through, hit your pockets on the way through, and try and lift that elbow straight up to the sky. Boom. And that is what it's going to start to look like when you're opening up with your arm mechanics. Now, from the front angle, another common mistake I see with rugby league players is the across the body arm swing. And you'll notice as I come across the body here, look at the gap between my arms and my ribs. That's a problem. If I'm coming across my body, I'm rotating my torso, what happens is the body works like this. It will counterbalance what the upper body is doing by using the legs. So if I come across my body, then my legs are going to come across my body, which is going to cause force and power issues. It's going to cause lower back problems. It's going to cause significant lower body injury risks as well. And that's just not what we want. And it's not even going to help you get faster either. It's actually going to make you slower because you're not able to produce the amount of force and power to come straight down to the ground, which is what we need to do to then go forward. So main thing is, I want you to imagine like you've got a towel or you've got books underneath your elbows, underneath your arms, and you're squeezing them in. So when I'm coming forward, I'm keeping my elbows in tight, and I'm making sure that I'm hitting my pockets on the way through with my fists and my arms, and that will allow you to stay in alignment. And you'll notice here that there's no sideways movement here. I'm not losing the core control, and that comes from the shoulders, okay? The next thing you need to focus on obviously is keeping those shoulders down. Don't lift your shoulders up and rise like this. Again, very simple. And then as we're coming past on the side, we need to also make sure that when we're coming forwards, we're using the front of the shoulder to bring the arm forward. We're not using the hand and the wrist. We're using the front of the shoulder. And it's like if I do a front raise in the gym, and I'm doing a front raise in the gym, I'm using this front deltoid to bring my arm through. And then as my elbow gets past my ribs, then what's happening is then I'm just flexing the elbow and bending the elbow, the bicep, using the bicep to bring through. A very common mistake that I see with a lot of young footy players is when they run, even some of the older ones, is when they run, they're like this, right? They're like this. Their arms are never past their ribs. So one of the main things I want you to think about is as you're coming past past your arms and your shoulders here, the next thing we need to think about is our elbows are getting past our ribs. We've got a good chunk, and that's going to allow you to open up and pull forward. Okay, if you're one of those people that make the mistake where you just do this and you're using the bicep, you're not actually swinging your arms. So you're not even using the maximum speed of your arms. Okay, so try and get, as the arm comes through, we're using the front deltoid. A hand is coming through past our ribs. We're lifting up, and then as we come down, we're then pulling back. Okay, with the elbow, pulling back with the elbow, here to then make sure it catches. We don't want to extend further out because it means that you're trying to use your tricep to try and bring the arm back. We need to use the back of our shoulder, our rear deltoid, to get the arm back. Okay, so front of the deltoid, bring the arm forward, rear deltoid, bring the arm back. The arm will naturally open just a little bit where it almost extends. It'll be a little bit still bent, like obtuse angle here, and then you want to make sure when you get it past the ribs, you then bend and flex the bicep as it's past the ribs. And that's where I go. One cue I like to give for some of the younger ones out there, and this might apply to some of the older ones out here too, is if you don't know where the arm height is and you see your arms down here, okay, for example, and it's only getting to this height, I want you to imagine you've got your thumb to the eye as a guide and fingers to the sky. Thumbs to the eye, fingers to the sky. That's the thing I want you to remember when you're using your arm drive. Thumb to the eye, fingers to the sky, okay? Now, if you've even got your fists like I do, same thing. I'm still trying to get my thumb like it would be close to, in line with my eye, and my fingers as close to the sky. Last part, how we need to drive our arms and accelerate our arms is the same way that we need to take off and accelerate. We need to pump our arms as fast as we can, like really quickly, really fast, really pump, to generate the two rolls, the leg speed off the start. So the faster we pump the arms with the right form, like we just talked about, you will get the maximum amount of leg speed you can get off the start. Now, there are other factors. You've got to hold the body angle lean. You've got to do these other things right, which we started on the beginning of this episode. But if you pump your arms aggressively and you nail that, you are going to generate the maximum amount of leg speed off the takeoff. And further on, if you just keep pumping your arms hard and aggressive like you're doing, you'll transition much better to top speed and you'll get a faster top speed as well. Okay? So arm drive has to be 110% and maximum. Right? Those are the key things. So before we finish this episode, the last thing I wanted to touch on really quickly was when you're accelerating and you get your takeoff position. No matter if you're in acceleration or you're in top speed and you're further down 40, 50, 60 meters, you need to imagine that you're switching your legs fast through the air. So I can't switch my legs as I'm touching the ground. I need to switch my legs when I'm at the top. I'm accelerating this position here as fast as I can down to the ground. And as I'm accelerating this leg, I'm switching this other leg quickly. I'm pulling it through really fast as well. So I need to switch my legs. Imagine I'm pushing from here and I'm switching my legs as they almost get to there. So I need to switch my legs fast through the air. Okay, so as one leg's coming down, you need to pull the other one leg through really quickly, and you need to do that the whole sprint. Very common mistake I see is a lot of people get to here, they accelerate, and then this other leg is doing nothing, which again is causing problems. Okay, it's causing problems with delay of the back leg coming through, which will force you to overstride. Whereas we want to be quick, like rapid, bang, get out nice and quick. So we need to switch our legs fast through the air. Okay. Finally, how we apply force to the ground. So if I've got a footy in my hands, and if I drop my football just from this height, and I'm going to teach you this in terms of force principles, if I just drop it from this height, it's only going to bounce this high. And the reason why is because I'm not applying any force to the ground. Now, if you apply force like a throw-in, or even like in AFL where they bounce the ball, and I try and bounce the ball from the top, from here, and I accelerate it as fast as I can to the ground, what's going to happen to the ball? It's going to go higher than where I threw it from the apex at the top. And it's the same thing that you need to do with speed when you're sprinting. You need to think about accelerating your foot down to the ground from the top here as fast and as hard, the apex. This is the apex, the top part of your lift, through the ground as fast and as hard as you can to the ground to get the response we want, which is to bounce and get off the ground. So when you're accelerating and sprinting, you should feel bouncy. You shouldn't feel clunky and like you're stuck in the ground. And if you're clunky, then we probably have an issue at how you're applying force. Or second to that is that we need to build more strength, we need to build more power in each leg, and we also need to implement what we call plyometrics. Okay, and there'll be an episode specifically on plyometrics where we'll touch on and how we can implement that to obviously build more spring. Build the springs in your ankles and Achilles and your lower body so you can just spring off the ground. If you made it this far, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the first episode of the NRL Speed Masterclass. Like I said, this is something that I've been extremely passionate about for my whole entire coaching career, and some of the best highlights I've had has come from helping people be fast and explosive. But one thing I would love you to do is to subscribe to this channel, because then you can get updates of all the episodes. Now, these are free speed masterclasses. These aren't, paid. You can come and watch these and watch them back as much as you want. And I'd really appreciate if you gave us some support. Give it a like. Make sure you share it to some of your friends and some of your teammates, because, as I said, the more this pushes out, I'd love to just make free content for all of you guys and live off that. But unfortunately, in coaching, we still have to train clients in person, and we can't live off free things forever. So if this is you guys and you want to show some support, then please not just view this, but like it, subscribe, so then I can grow my follower base on YouTube. And then hopefully one day we can do this full time. And I can just give you guys free content all the time. Free programs, free content. How good is that? So tune in for episode 2 next time, and I'll see you then.